African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. It's been a long time since I was live for the Daily African Proverbs. It's almost been 3 weeks, actually a month. I was in Kenya for a while. I was in Kenya for business and also for personal reasons. I was there to for my mother's memorial service and also for my work with One Vibe Africa, as well as One Vibe Media and also Med25, which is another organization that I co-founded that provides healthcare services to community members in Kenya, specifically Mbita, Kenya. I'm excited to be back. And I'm excited to share an amazing African proverb that is used across the whole continent. In various countries around Africa, you find this proverb that says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader. He who fears fire cannot be a leader." This is our proverb for today. It's on my Twitter account. It's the current pinned tweet there, and I will be live tweeting during our conversation today. And I also encourage you to feel free to get clips of this room. Just remember to share it with the hashtag Daily African Proverbs and tag me if possible so that I can share your tweet. But today's proverb says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." This is also the first time that I'm not selecting the proverb that we are discussing. This proverb was selected by Nkem. Nkem Jika is an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs, and we work closely together. And so she picked this proverb, and I have to say that this proverb is quite in alignment with my current situation. Personally, I'm in the middle of so many fires as a leader, and I feel that also as a leader, I thrive in the midst of the fires. I feel that the proverb today, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader," is such a beautiful way for us to reconnect with each other and for us to continue building this amazing platform that we've all been contributing to its growth since January. From January, it's in September until now that we took the longest break, and now we are back together. And I want to hear what your interpretations of this proverb is. The proverb says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." Normally, the way we run the Daily African Proverbs room is that we invite guests on stage. For example, David, who is already on stage, is also a close contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. And, we hear their interpretation just in at most 2 minutes. If possible, just tweet size response to what your interpretation of the proverb is. My hope is that we can hear from as many people as possible, especially because we are also live streaming today's conversation on YouTube, and we want all our friends and community members who are not able to be on Clubhouse to also hear many people's voices. And really, at the end of our conversation, I believe that we are making our ancestors smile, we are making them proud, and that's why I love doing the Daily African Proverbs. I just want to urge you as well to follow the African Father in America Club. That's the only way that we can keep you informed about upcoming events besides the Daily African Proverbs, and also for us to involve you in making this possible. So without further ado, I want to introduce David M. Otieno, who is an application developer at ASTEC. David develops service and learning ecosystems to empower youth to own their businesses. David, please share with us your interpretation of this proverb that says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon, and welcome back. I was already missing Daily African Proverbs. So thank you so much for giving me a time to share. Just like you've already pointed out, also, I'm also going through some challenges when it comes to leadership. And one of the things that I'm looking into normally to guide me is the 3 C's or the principles of the 3 C's, which is normally referred to as competence, commitment, and character. So I'm going to just say that, but actually kind of related to the topic of today's discussion, because I think mainly is on character that actually drives the leadership part of this. So I've been actually working with the youth and also still working on my day-to-day job. And I think this leadership topic today is so important. So about competence, I think that leaders need to be passionate, because if they do that, then they respect their audience, and then they also lead with honesty. Basically, what they say is what they mean. And also, when you are committed, then you do create a trust relationship with the people that you are leading. They would like to hear you, they would like to follow you, and they need to understand clearly what your values are. But then when it comes to character, this is where now is a real game changer, because for me, I do think that character is both, being committed and also being competent when you lead. That means that, you put a mix of being consistent, doing, and then also being, putting up the behavior of doing. So if you do mix those, then you develop a character that is required as a leader. And normally as leaders, we need to motivate and mobilize. And definitely you need to step out of your comfort zone. Now, if you cannot step out of your comfort zone, then you cannot lead. So when we are talking about stepping on fire, actually kind of think that it means you need to step out of your zone. A good example is President Nelson Mandela, the late President Nelson Mandela, who forgave his tormentors to unite the country. So if a leader cannot step on fire, if a leader cannot put fire or cannot put some seriousness on his bold actions, then somehow the values that he is trying to reflect, somehow are diminished. And that way, then you cannot lead. So my interpretation of the proverb is he, and let me also just add she and he who fears fire cannot be a leader. To me, it means that if you cannot step on fire to extinguish it, to motivate, to mobilize, to guide, then you cannot step up your leadership skills. So this is David. I'm done speaking. Thank you, Simon, for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much, David. It's true. It's true that if you're not willing to, to distinguish the fire, then you're probably not ready to step up as a leader, because leadership is truly about taking risks. It's truly about sometimes walking on fire and not alarming people. Sometimes you're going through a very, very challenging time as a leader, but the right thing to do in that time is to persevere. So thank you so much, David. I'm really, really excited to hear from Said as well. Said and I almost connected in person when I was in Kenya recently. I think Said is still in Uganda, in Kampala. So Said, I want you to just take 2 minutes, share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. He who fears fire cannot be a leader. And also just share with us, where you are right now in Uganda and what's going on and what everyone in this room is missing by not being where you are. Thank you so much. This is Simon speaking. I think Said might be having technical issues. We connected a few weeks ago and he seemed to be having issues with his audio. So yesterday I thought that he had fixed it, but maybe not. So I will quickly go ahead and introduce Raphael while we wait for Said's connection to get better. And most of you who have been to the Daily African Proverbs, especially in the last 3 months, have probably met Raphael Hari. Raphael Hari is a stay-at-home dad. He's a podcaster and host of White Label American Podcast. Really and truly one of the most amazing supporters of the Daily African Proverbs. Raphael, he's also a veteran. He's also a U.S. Navy veteran, and is just an extraordinaire. Raphael, share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. He who fears fire cannot be a leader. He who fears fire cannot be a leader. Thank you so much, Raphael.
Hey, my brother Simon, thank you for having me as always. When you read the proverb, I just started laughing here because you were the first person that I thought about. Yeah, I wasn't laughing at your situation, but you were the first person that came to mind because the way we talk about leaders today is, to me, very performative. It's just being blunt is BS, in my opinion. People, I don't really take 99% of people serious when people start talking about leadership and leaders and all that because it's very basic. So, I always say on my profile, it's always in the small details. And with the current scenario uh, with your Instagram, what I took from it is the very little thing that you did. You admitted your mistake, and I will still make jokes about it. I'll use that. When me and you are talking later on, I already told our brother Kombi that I'll be making jokes with that, but that's for a different channel. But you admitted your fault in how the person got access to your account, and that is a form of leadership. That is where I come in with today's proverb, because that was you embracing the fire. Fire is a tool. Fire has always been a tool in our communities. Fire has been a tool in different communities. When we didn't know how to treat diseases in the past, they burn the body. They burn, you have to, that's how we killed viruses in the past. That's how we killed a whole lot of things. You use heat when you don't cook the meat properly. And you eat the meat like that. You fall sick. Fire has always come in different ways. Now the earth is being destroyed thanks to fire. So fire has always been a part of us. It's a part of our system, and it will probably destroy us in the future. But when it comes to leadership, then we start seeing that the leadership, you can apply the same uh, rules for a leader of a country with a leader of a street or a leader of a household. But there are similarities in how all leaders operate. If you can't admit you're wrong, you can't accept criticism. It does not matter what level of leadership that you are at, you will still be a bad leader. You will be a faulty leader. So when we bring up popular names, we tend to skip over faults that they have. We tend to skip over, we just go for what we like about them. But we always tend to skip over when they dealt with fire. Today we have issues in South Africa that people blame our the best, are considered one of the best leader, our Papa. But when you look at the people in South Africa, they talk about these are criticisms of what he did, how he handled it. He was right, in my opinion. But that was fire that he dealt with. We should talk about dealing with the fire. How did they deal with the fire? That is how we address issues like, you know, the leaders, because we make it sound too easy sometimes, and then people get the wrong message and think, oh, as a leader, you just deal with fire. No, because because that's why we have tyrants who are popular today, because every tyrant is like, oh, I can, I deal with it. No, the tyrants just kill you when you bring the fire to them. They're like, we'll cut off your head. Don't bring any fire in my way. You know? That's why Killmonger is still popular, because Killmonger will be like, no one should come after me and I will kill you. So we should always pay attention to the little details in how our leaders deal with fire. Be the leader of your household, the leader of your company, the leader of your job, whatever. Pay attention to how they deal with their fires. And it will make you know whether you're on the right path or not. You're seeing it today with the pandemic. It's out there right in front of you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. And my brother Simon, don't forget to bring up that point that I raised last night about legal education with your Instagram account. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother Raphael. I am grateful, as a leader, and I feel that I have learned the most by making mistakes. I have learned the most by failing, and some of the mistakes that I have made in my life. I'm 37 now. I've never repeated some of them. I've repeated some too, and I've even learned more. So the hacking of my Instagram account is such an amazing learning opportunity. It was horrible the first few days, and now I'm just focusing on what am I learning from it, what connections am I making, and that's all. I'm confident that it will be resolved. But today's session again is amazing, and I want to hear from Geronimo as well as Awino. But before that, I want to go back to Sed, who was unable to share earlier. For those who are meeting Sed, my people, he says here on his profile that he's a Clubhouse moderator and guest speaker in different clubs, and co-founder of Congolese Youth Congress Club, and also co-founder of Global Refugee-Led Network Club. But he's a brother that I've become so close with. Over the last few months, we've spent a lot of time even over the phone. He's now in Kampala, but he's from the Congo. He lives here in the US. He has a lot going on for him. Said, briefly share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. The proverb says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." This proverb is my pinned tweet. I am live tweeting as we have this conversation, so join me on Twitter. And also we are live streaming today's conversation on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Simon Javan Okelo. So join me over there. I am grateful. And Said, share with us your interpretation, please. This is Simon speaking. Yes, Said is definitely having technical difficulties. We are going to bring him back in a moment. Geronimo, thank you for joining us. Geronimo Collins. Geronimo is an aspiring Black culture scholar, podcast host of the Chaos and Culture. And he says, let's talk about culture and life in urban environments. Wow, there's so much that I want to learn from you, Geronimo. But for now, briefly share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. The proverb says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." Thank you so much.
Thanks for that, Simon. I appreciate the introduction and the invite onto the stage, and good morning everybody else on the stage, y'all. So 2 points to the proverb for today. One, I want to speak to something that I heard Raphael say, as well as something that you have brought up in regards to your how you responded and how you reacted when your Instagram account was hacked, and that's the importance of leaders having good emotional intelligence. And I say that because if you don't have that good emotional intelligence and a good understanding of that, you will fail as a leader, because the fire is definitely going to come to you, and I think about myself even having to be in leadership roles throughout my life in different capacities, and how I had shortcomings and failures because it wasn't until, I have to say, the last few years that I had a pretty sound emotional intelligence. And, I know I look a lot younger than what I actually am, but definitely, I would have to say emotional intelligence is very key to being able to deal with that fire as a leader. And then my second point to the to today's proverb is a personal one. Again, uh, where I am right now, me speaking on the stage on Clubhouse, coming up on a year tomorrow that I've been on Clubhouse. And when I first got on the app, I was pretty active on stages, even starting clubs and things like that. Um, and I'm. Some people might think, oh, well, public speaking should be easy for you. You're a podcaster. It's two completely different things. But you know, I took a hiatus just because I don't know. I guess it was overkill. Having spent so much time on Clubhouse when I first got on for the first few months. So I took a months long hiatus, and coming back on within recent weeks, I don't know. It's like some type of social anxiety set in. But I said, what are you afraid of? You have a message, you have a voice, you have thoughtful, informed opinions and perspectives. So why not speak on stages? If is it the fear of being challenged? Is it the fear of, going into a room and getting on a stage where it's pretty dramatic? Which we know there's a lot of those on Clubhouse right now. But you know, um, I decided to accept your invite to come on the stage today, Simon, because for me, and thinking about throughout my life in general, I've always moved through fear and just employed bravery and courage so that I could get to the other side and see what's awaiting for me. That's good. And I think that in itself is also important as a leader, being able to move through that fear and employ bravery and courage, even for things such as speaking on a social audio app. So I'll land there.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful, Geronimo, for your contribution. And it's true. It's true that as a leader, you have to try and thrive even in situations of great fear, in moments when you know that you're probably not going to even survive, but the only option you have is to keep going. So I appreciate that. I want to hear a little bit from Awino in just a second. It seems like Said is back. Said, could you just tap your mic? Okay, I see. Go ahead, please. This is Simon. Said, I'm passing you the mic so that you can share with us your interpretation of today's proverb. Today's proverb is beautiful. We've been learning, what it means to various people who have been with us on stage. The proverb says, he who fears fire cannot be a leader. This is my pinned tweet. You can engage with the proverb on Twitter. And also join me live on YouTube. But I want to hear from Said in just a second here. Said, I'll pass you the microphone.
Hey, brother Simon, man, it's good to back on the platform because since I moved to Africa, I've been really having hard time to get to connect, but finally I got it, and good that I get sound at this point. And I missed the daily African proverbs a lot, but again, I was following on the Instagram, and that was really great. Yeah, this is really amazing. Actually, I'm right now speaking from Kampala, Uganda. I just came from settlement. I work with refugees at this time, and these proverbs, I think, speaks to my current work right now as a leader. I think there's a lot of things you cannot be scared of because you gotta get things the way it's supposed to be. And when I look at what I'm doing right now, I work with organizations that have been doing a lot of restructuring, a lot of staff assessments. Unfortunately, sometimes you need to get some people go. Sometimes you got to make decisions that are very tough. And when you're in that situation, I think you just want to do what's best for in organizational context. For instance, you got to do it. And I think that applies to our lives, in our daily lives. When we make decisions, we need to making sure we are making decisions that are important to us, that are very important to even people that are around us, decisions that will impact the people, the community, and everything that we do. So I'm so grateful when I read this proverb. I was like, wow, this is just like me. And I always like to connect the daily proverb to my own life, to my environment, my family. And I think this is really amazing. So all I'm trying to say, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do as a leader, and if it's good for the people, the community, the environment, and yourself, it's for betterment of what you're doing. You just gotta do it, and and don't be scared of fire. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My brother said, sometime as a leader, it's true that you have to do what you have to do. You have to work with what you have at your disposal. That's beautiful. Now we are going to finally hear from the wonderful Awino. Awino is an architecture. She is into architecture, physics, and a whole lot of black girl magic. She's at MIT. She's affiliated with Harvard, and she's also been in TU Munich and UT Austin. I just want you to speak a little bit about that by introducing yourself a little more, Awino, and also briefly sharing with us your interpretation of today's proverb. The proverb says that he who fears fire cannot be a leader. Thank you so much for being here with us today. The mic is yours.
Thank you for your generous sharing your platform, being so generous with it, and also always having these. I may not be able to always join, but it's always so lovely to hear from you. Thank you, Simon. As Simon introduced, currently. I hear an echo. Sorry. Okay, there it's gone. Currently a building performance analyst, and I'm associated with architecture and physics. And so I would like to share my interpretation of today's proverb as noting, like as a leader, sometimes you're faced with, you are the one who goes through it first, right? You are the one who's braving the waters. And so you have to show your weaknesses and your strengths as you lead people, because from what they see from you is what they'll gather. So that's how I interpret today's proverb. I think it's a wonderful one. It's a beautiful one because it shows us to be brave. It shows like bravery pays off in the end, but you have to be able to face the fire, and that means showing your strengths and your weaknesses. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's true that your strengths and your weaknesses are both important. And thank you so much for the wonderful words, about the work we're doing with this room. And also, I'm just grateful. Now I want to introduce Kay, but I do see Patrice and I see Jay have all joined us on stage. I'm so grateful. For those who are meeting Kay for the first time, Kay has been quite an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. Kay Benjamin is Atlanta-based, destined to live in Ghana. Share with us your interpretation of today's proverb, Kay. The proverb says, he who fears fire cannot be a leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Wow. This one really hit me because it basically told me what I've known, that I cannot be a leader. And it's interesting because I have my projects that would look like I have something about leadership, but I'm in fear all the time. And I am afraid of the fire. And even today, as I sit here, I just got the news about Colin Powell transitioning from COVID, and that put me in fear because I know he's all right, but we lost a very good man. And so one of the things I thought about last week was that I must find a way to be inspired by criticism because we live in a critical world. And so as I sat here today, I thought about the reason that I get into fear is because I've lost my alignment with God. And that's the only way I can face things. And so that's what I got from this. By myself, I'm in fear. But so I just have to realign myself today so that I can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kay. I'm so grateful for for everything you shared with us. I've someone here with me, Raphael Hari, who was also on stage earlier on, and I just want to see if he has a brief response to what you just shared. Raphael, please go ahead. This is Simon speaking. I don't think Raphael heard me. I was just giving him a chance to respond to you, Kay. But I just want to let you know that, thank you for your contribution. And I
All
want
right.
to welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now, Raphael. Go ahead.
No. Okay. The mic then. What about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well. Thank you so much. Thank you. And for those who are on Clubhouse, Raphael is actually live on YouTube with me. So that's why he was just confirming whether I could hear him.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I
so
don't think my mic is compatible with this system.
it works really
All
well,
right.
actually.
Well, yeah, I've heard fear a few times, and I would like to just say something about that. Um, Being a leader doesn't mean we should be afraid of fear. Fear is part of human being human. We I think we it's kind of the messaging that we get nowadays seems to be like you must overcome fear, which yeah, you're supposed to overcome fear in a way, but fear is natural. It's part of being a leader doesn't mean you don't have fears, you don't have anxiety. Anxiety is there, but too much of everything is where you now have an issue. So like Jeremy had said earlier, I love when Jeremy was talking about his fears of public speaking. I have fear of public speaking, but I've given speeches in rooms of over 300 people, and with John Stewart coming up to me and saying, "Man, I don't know how I'll go after you because you gave a great speech." And he was supposed to talk for 30 minutes, and I only spoke for 6 minutes. But I was sweating inside. I was freaking out. I was afraid. But John Stewart was the star. People came there for him, not for me. And I didn't think that I would do something or I'll say something that would have more of an impact than a celebrity who's been on TV every night, has a big show, and then now he has a new show coming up. But every time he sees me at a volunteer event in New York today, he always goes back to that speech that I made in 2018 because he recognizes me from that. That's not to say everybody is going to be a public speech professional or but we all have fear. I freaked out. I was afraid. People had to speak to me for a while that you are capable of doing this. When I was in the military, everybody had to give training in the command, and you had to speak to everybody, address everybody. And there were times when it was my turn to address the command, and people would say that I was giving great information, but my voice always seemed to be reducing. With the tone of my voice seemed to get lower and lower and lower. I'm saying all this not because I'm trying to show that I'm better than anybody, but I'm just showing that being vulnerable is okay. It's okay to be vulnerable, and you have to recognize that in your leaders. If you don't recognize that in your leaders, it's another reason why we fall into the trap of looking for perfect leaders. If you keep looking for perfect leaders, you keep getting the bad people that keep causing disasters for humanity. Accept that your leaders are vulnerable, your leaders make mistakes, your leaders are human. If you see the humanity in your leaders, you see the humanity in yourself, recognize that. I think it goes a long way into who we are, and it helps us. So yeah, don't beat yourself for being afraid. Don't beat yourself for having any fear. It shows that you're human. I love it. I love hearing that. I love hearing that people see themselves being vulnerable. It's a big that's embracing your fire. Actually, it's embracing the fire, because many people hide from that. People act put that picture of perfection. I'm on Instagram. Look at me. I always have muscles. Look at me. I'm this. I'm that. Then they go hide in the closet and cry. But you are coming out and saying, I was afraid. I was this. I was that. It's people wish they can do that. So don't ever think you're doing something that um, is wrong. You're not wrong for doing that. You're very bold and you're very brave. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raphael. I see there's a lot of mic taps on stage on Clubhouse for everything you just shared. In addition to what Kay was sharing, and if you want to see my face and Raphael's face, we actually live on YouTube, and we also live here with you on Clubhouse. I want to hear from my wonderful sister Patrice. Patrice Wa is joining us from oh no, you're not in Monrovia right now. I think you're traveling. Tell us where you are. I think you're somewhere in West Africa, but normally Patrice is in Liberia. She was Miss Liberia 2006 2007, and also she's wow, she's part of the IE Foundation Humanities Prize winning poet. I didn't know that you're a poet, Patrice. I knew that you're a beauty queen and an amazing leader, but I'm just learning a lot in this moment. But she's all things Africa, and Madrid has a piece of her heart. Also, she's the author of Under the Ducot Skies, and Amazon's #1 release in African poetry in 2018. Patrice, share with us your interpretation. You've just amazed me by quite a few things that I didn't know. I felt like I knew you already, but this was a beautiful surprise. The mic is yours. Share with us your interpretation of "He who fears fire cannot be a leader."
Hi, my African Proverbs family, and thank you so much, my brother Simon, for being ever so gracious. I'm happy to be here with you all today. I'm in Accra, Ghana. I have been moving around a bit, but I'm happy to be joining you all. As someone mentioned earlier, as you travel, you have internet issues, and so I haven't been too I haven't been showing up, but I will do my best from time to time as my schedule permits to join you all. The Proverbs, he who fears fire cannot be a leader. Um, it is so true and it resonates so deeply with me. I think as leaders, we have to be willing to disrupt. We have to be willing to chart our own course. And sometimes you set out to do something and you're looking for the blueprint. But sometimes I recently mentioned in an interview that if you cannot find the blueprint, you have to be the blueprint. And so, yes, and a personal story, of mine is that over the past year, the last year, I've been dealing with grief. And so everything about grief is complicated and it forces you to sometimes hide. And so what I've done that has been my fire this past year, dealing with that grief and navigating all of the different things that I have to do. And so grief has said, sit down in a corner somewhere and just cry and just be sad. But then as a leader, my responsibility, to the girls that I work with, to the different initiatives and organizations that I'm a part of, even this platform, is to show up, every day. So a scary thing I've done is to keep showing up when grief tries to silence me, and that has been my fire. So let us keep on doing what we can do. And as Awino said, it is also important that as leaders to admit our weaknesses, that if you're strong in other areas, you may not necessarily be strong in another area, and there is power and strength in that. As our brother, I don't know, Raphael mentioned, there's power in vulnerability. So look at that fire, face that fire, walk in that fire with boldness, with courage, with conviction, and you will emerge on the other side and serve as an example for others. So that's my interpretation. I really just showed up to support and listen, but I'm happy to have been able to chime in, sending positive energy to all of you from my little corner in West Africa. Blessings.
Wow, thank you so much, Patrice. That was a beautiful, beautiful interpretation of today's proverb. For those who are just joining us, the proverb says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." It's been a few weeks since we gathered here for the Daily African Proverbs here in the African Father in America Club. And I just want to urge you, if you're new to the club, please follow the club if you're on Clubhouse. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to Simon Javan Okelo so that when we are live streaming tomorrow's proverb, you are able to catch it. Today, I'm going to do the recap of the Daily African Proverbs on TikTok. You know, I have a growing TikTok account and I want to do the recap of the Daily African Proverbs there. So if you want to join me, feel free at 7:15 a.m. I can't do the recap on Instagram until I recover my account, which was hacked last Monday. I want to thank you all. Actually, Jay, who is speaking next, called me last night and we had a long phone call and I felt like I was talking to a long lost sister. It was just beautiful. Raphael, who is on YouTube with me, has also been quite a supporter. David, it's just amazing to see how the community actually cares. And before the end of our conversation, I'm going to play for you just a little snippet of some of the content I recorded when I was in Kenya. I haven't played this to anybody else. So every day during the Daily African Proverbs, at least for the next week or so, I will be sharing snippets. And some of these snippets are also proverbs that I went to, quite a few parts of Kenya. I went and just talked to ordinary people about the importance of proverbs to them. And they shared with me some proverbs that are important to them as well. So some of these proverbs are in their native languages, so I will be interpreting them. But I'm just excited to be here with you all. And if you're meeting Jay for the first time, she's also another amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. She says that the world is thirsty for kindness, happiness, integrity, truthfulness, and love. Wow, this is really in alignment with today's proverb. And she also says, be a rejuvenating and refreshing cold glass of compassion. Okay, Jay, share with us your interpretation of today's proverb that says, he who fears fire cannot be a leader. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, dear Simon. I really, really miss this room. It's amazing that you don't realize how much you miss something in your life that's been part of it for months until it's no longer there. So I'm so glad that you're back. Back in the Daily African Proverb Room. I'm so happy. I missed some of the people that were here frequently and consistently. So it's amazing that Clubhouse, we have met, but it's amazing with Clubhouse that people you have never met face to face in person, if you're no longer hearing their voices, you realize how important they were to you. The same thing with a leader who shows vulnerability. If they appear impenetrable, it's hard to follow someone who appears perfect in all their ways. But when they show that vulnerability, they know there's going to be fire and challenges and difficulties and oppositions and problems that they're going to have to face, but they also see the people. The people need them, the people rely on them, to whom much has been given, much is expected, and you know what your purpose is. You understand your purpose. And I love that. There is still fear. It is human nature to be fearful about what you're probably going to have to face, what you're going to have to encounter, but there is an extra amount of strength and fortitude and determination that you have to do what's right for your family, to do what's necessary for your community, to do what's needed for your business, to do what's required for your organization, to make sure that regardless of what you're going to have to face, it is needed and necessary for their health, their well being, their survival. So I appreciate leaders that have wisdom, Simon, like you, that have wisdom and they know that the complications are challenging at best, but you're facing them, and true leaders face them with wisdom and an additional, an extra amount of courage because there are people watching and relying and depending on them and care deeply about what they're going to have to deal with. Care deeply. This is Jay. I appreciate that this room is back and active again. Thank you so much. I'm finished speaking.
Thank you, Jay. I'm just so grateful. I want to, give Raphael a chance to just respond to everything Jay said. Raphael is live with me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Simon Javan Okelo. I want to also just welcome Stephen, who is next to Jay. Stephen is actually my biological brother. He's new to Clubhouse. It took me a long time to convince him to join Clubhouse. So I'm just so happy that he's here. He's a wise man as well. And also I want to welcome Johnny and Laura and Tara and Samantha and Faline and Anthony. I also see MK and Fred and Stephanie and Sarah and Lola. Welcome to the Daily African Proverbs. We do this every single day, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 4 p.m. East African Time here on Clubhouse and also on YouTube. We've taken a long break, almost a month. That's the longest break that we've taken since January. So I think it was well deserved. I was in Kenya for part of it, and I'm back in Seattle. I took like another week once I returned to Seattle to just rest a little and deal with my hacked Instagram account and get some other work done. But I'm so grateful to be here. Raphael, share with us your thoughts about Jay's interpretation, and I want to keep everyone else on stage. Stephen, we are going to give you a chance to also share your interpretation of today's proverb. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you again. And the one part Simon left out about getting his brother onto Clubhouse was, Simon left out he probably threatened his brother, if you don't come here, I'm a disown you or something, or I won't give you some of the good cooking, But Simon, he left that part out. But don't worry, I know my brother, so it's okay.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I didn't threaten him. We had a.
It's classified info.
It's classified. Yeah.
We don't need the rest of the people to know. It's just between you and I. Nobody. Everybody don't pretend you didn't hear that. I didn't say it out loud. But yeah, we'll jump back on the proverbs. Yeah, welcome to your brother. I'm like, now I'm not in the room, so I can't see his photo, but I'll definitely catch up with him later on. So I love what our sister Jay just said, and yeah, it still mirrors a lot of the themes that I agree with and I've been hearing today. And one thing our sister Jay mentioned, she loves leaders who are able to show wisdom and show vulnerability. A little something I would just add to that is that even bad leaders know that and use that, because the language of vulnerability has been out there for a little bit, and you must also remember that the moment something becomes mainstream, both the good, the bad, and the ugly, everybody is now aware of that. So everybody starts to use it to their advantage. So I give you an example. We like to say Trump is a stupid guy. Trump was just your average con man. Yes, Trump's a con man. Everybody knows that. But what was the vulnerability that he showed? He didn't show no vulnerability. He didn't show nothing. But look at the large following that he has. It's racism that he was selling. But at the same time, there's some people, when you listen to some people talking about him, the excuses they give and all that, it's like they start sounding like he was someone who was giving you, he was showing vulnerability, like the way Obama would say, don't kick out someone who is heckling him, let that person's voice be heard. Trump wouldn't do that. Trump would be like, you didn't punch the person hard enough. Kick back, beat him. Look, back in the days, they used to beat that person hard. But who does that remind you of? Let's go back to Africa. Some of the leaders who are getting excuses nowadays, go try heckling them. 1999, the person was president of Nigeria, Obasanjo. Somebody tried heckling him. Not even heckling. Somebody threw a stone at. No, I think was it stone or shoe? I can't remember which one the person threw at him. But it was the person tried to copy the stone throwing at George W. that happened in Baghdad, which is still one of my favorite internet moments because of the way George W. was able to dodge. And I was like, oh, this guy has some matrix skills. And Obasanjo does not forgive, man. That guy, he dances in church, he does all that stuff. That's why I'm like, when people say spirituality, I'm like, there's a level to spirituality that people accept. The guy was like, how dare you stone me in public? Flog that guy. And yeah, the army took the order. They said that's commander-in-chief. So they flogged the guy. That's the leader, but he's still in churches today. He's dancing. People like him because the Christians will defend him. The Muslims are the ones who will go against him. And then Buhari, who's the leader of Nigeria today, you can't go there, stone the guy, and then see what happens. If you can be as woke as you come in Nigeria. I think we saw what happened last year in Nigeria and SARS. But before that, the police have been killing people. But when you bring it up to him, like your police killed people, killed youths. What is it? He just puts toothpick in his mouth and like, Is that all you have to say? That is it. But at the same time, his boys, his lieutenants will use the same vulnerability language and tell you that, oh yes, he was been struggling. He tried to become president 6 times and all that. And some of followers will now start being like, oh yes, he's a simple man. He's he tried. It's not like he just wants to be president. I'm like, that's why you have to be careful. You have to be careful because if you're not careful, these guys, they will take it and run away with it. So everything my sister Jay said was right. But at the same time, there are people who want to take advantage of that and they are willing to use that to swindle you because that's it. They are swindling you. And yeah, it doesn't matter. And I'm not limiting it to just politics. It happens in every aspect of life. The person who stole my equipment, he said all the sweet words I needed to hear, and then he stole my stuff. So you see it everywhere. There are people who are just coming and they look like I'm vulnerable, I need help, and then there are bad leaders, good leaders, they're all that. So yeah, so still keep your eyes open because it's always in the little details. That's how you can always tell.
Thank you so much. It's definitely always in the little details. I'm excited to see Joanne back with us here on YouTube as well. Joanne, I missed you just a little when I was in Nairobi. Next time you're going to be one of the first people I grab food with. I do want to pass the microphone to Stephen, who is probably going to be speaking on Clubhouse for the first time in this room. So Steve, if you want to share your interpretation of today's proverb, the proverb says, he who fears fire cannot be a leader. Just unmute your microphone, go to the button that is on the lower right side of your microphone, and it's a little mic there that you can unmute and then share your interpretation briefly. Go ahead.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, keep going. Everybody hears you very well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I think being it's my first time, beg to be allowed to listen and follow through. Then I can share my interpretation on today's proverb before we end this session.
Thank you so much, Steve. We are ending the session in a moment, so we'll come back right to you after
Yeah,
we hear.
welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
Yeah, after we hear from Ivnia, and Ivnia is an amazing, I'm going to go ahead and mute Steve here. Ivnia is an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. He's a brother from Haiti, but based here in the US. He's an author that has contributed immensely to the work we do to change the narrative about Africa here on Clubhouse and also on Instagram. Ivnia, I hope you and your family are doing well. Briefly share with us your interpretation of today's proverb that says, "He who fears fire cannot be a leader." Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Simon. And hello, everyone. This is a great proverb. And by the way, I missed this club so much. And I didn't even know that we're on today. But I'm so happy to get back to the morning breakfast. What I think about this proverb, he who fears cannot be a leader, is when you look at a leader, is someone that has to be ready for so many things. And therefore, if you are a leader, if you are to become a leader, there are a few things that you should know, you should have in your mind, such as fear of failure. You should not be afraid to fail because you're a leader. It is something that is possible to try again in your endeavor. If you do not succeed the first time, you should try again. So you should not be afraid of failure. And the second one, you should not be afraid uh, to see people abandoning you. Like if you want to start a project, there are some people who will disagree with you, and therefore they will just leave you with the project alone. So you should not fear of being abandoned. And as well as criticism, you should not fear someone to criticize you for your ideas, for your thoughts, and for your leadership. And these are some of the things that I believe, if you fear, if you have someone who that just fear in your mind, you cannot be a leader, because you always have to be ready for criticism. You always have to be ready for people criticizing you, because you will make mistake. You will miss the mark as a leader. And this is my interpretation of today's proverb. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to have this group again. My name is Ivner, and I yield the mic back to you, Simon. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, my brother Ivnia. I'm grateful that you're here, and I agree completely that leaders have to always be ready for criticism. You should always, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. Hope for the best but prepare for the worst. We've come to the tail end of our conversation. I'm going to create a little session here, so we are not going to end at the top of the hour. We are going to have just a little session here for maybe another 5 or so minutes. But I do want to check in with Steve. Steve, do you feel ready to share your interpretation? And after that, I'll just go to Raphael. Raphael will come towards the very end, but I'll go to David and Geronimo and Awino and Kay and Jay and also Ivnia. Just think about your closing remarks and your hopes for the Daily African Proverbs. I'm looking for help, actually. DM me if you have time to help with retweeting when we're having these sessions daily, and also just help with the recap sessions. We are still going to be hosting the recap sessions. Today I'll do it on TikTok, but eventually I'll come back to doing them on Instagram. But really, there's a lot of work that goes into producing this. So if you're interested, let me know, and I'll share more information with you. Steve, the mic is yours. Unmute and talk to us, please.
Okay, thank you once again. My understanding of he who fears fire can't be a leader is for one to lead, you need to have to be open-minded, and you should not judge yourself or your capability by the tasks ahead of you or what you are expected of to deliver. So my understanding of the fire is the kind of task you have at hand would draw you fear. Like I will give example with myself. Uh, during my high school period as an actor, my first appearance in a large crowd, I was struck by stage fright because of the masses of people that were present before me. But then my teacher told me to deal with the crowd, you have to compose yourself, but do not focus on the crowd. Focus on what you want to feed the crowd. So, in a nutshell, I would just summarize by saying it's not about what you need to deliver, but how you believe in yourself, how your conscience guides you on what you want to deliver, and the people you want to lead. If you believe in yourself, those who you are leading will also believe in you. Thank you, and back to you, Simon.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much, Steve. This is a good introduction to Clubhouse. You did so well. I'm very proud of you. Now we are going to take it all the way to David. David, just share your brief tweet size closing remark and your hopes for the Daily African Proverbs, and then pass it to Geronimo, Awino, KJ, and Stephen. Let's see, and then Patrice. I just had to refresh my screen, so I do see David, Geronimo, and I will go step by step. So David, go ahead, please.
Thank you, thank you, Simon. Yeah, I think I would summarize with this statement that if you want to lead, you should be ready to step on fire. And that to me means that sometimes you need to embrace certain circumstances. Sometimes you need to understand people, you need to listen more a little bit to people that you're leading. Sometimes you need to go out of your way, or you need to really focus more on the people than yourself. And then sometimes also you just need to be aware of the environment. Because I had somebody talked about emotional intelligence. I also want us to think about being able to adapt with the different situations. So yeah, I would say that if you really want to lead, you need to step up, and that means that you have to step on fire to be able to motivate the people who are leading. Thank you, and welcome back, Simon.
Thank you so much, David. This is Simon speaking. I'm grateful. And let's hear from Geronimo.
Well, my closing statement is going to be really quick. Again, to echo what David just mentioned about developing emotional intelligence and making sure that that is strong and intact, and ultimately probably something that you will always continue to work on, whether you are in a leadership role or not, as well as being ready and willing and able to move through fear, any fear, anxiety that you may experience in a leadership role, to employ bravery and courage so that you can continue to be an effective leader.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Geronimo. Awino, the mic is yours.
So thank you so much for, again, having such a generous platform and hosting everyone here. Relating to the proverb again, it's just, I think we all need to remember all the time that fear is like primal. It's a protective mechanism, something that's built into us to keep us safe. And as leaders, you have to test that fire each and every time to see to push a little bit further, to push those boundaries a little bit further, then that develops you into a leader. You don't stay within those bounds. And that requires bravery and courage, of course. But feeling fear, there's nothing wrong with feeling fear. Fear is natural to us, as many people have said before. Thank you so much. I hope to be able to join these conversations more often now that you're back. Thank you again for having such a generous platform.
Thank you so much, Awino. It means a lot that you're here, and I'm also excited to see you tomorrow. And please know that we are looking for female guests as well on YouTube. So if you're able to join us on YouTube, I want to host Patrice first this week, but I'm looking for other female guests that are interested in sharing your responses to some of the shares that we hear in the room, like Raphael was doing today. So let me know. Hey Kay, share with us your closing remarks.
Hi, I want to thank everybody for their talk. And I guess one of the ways to deal with it is to face the fear. And when I think of it as fire, it's only going to get bigger. So it's best to deal with it while it's small. And it's like going to the gym. The more I deal with the small ones, I'll get stronger. So thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful, for your contribution. Let's hear from Patrice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everyone, for all of your insights. I will, like to leave you with these final words that fire will show up in every aspect of leadership. You just have to choose what that fire is for you and have a positive attitude towards addressing it. And I would like to leave you with this small piece, this little poem I wrote about fear. It says, that thing called fear, it holds your mind in bondage, your thoughts held captive. It strangles your dreams before they see daylight, keeps you in chains while you're free, and attends your funeral while you're still alive. So let us work towards disrupting fear. But fear is also normal. But let us look at fear and confront it. Thank you.
Patrice, wow. I feel good that I always just perceived you to be a fashion queen and also a leader and a keynote speaker. But I always forgot that you are an amazing poet, and what you just shared with us, and I can't wait to do your interview and to just go deeper into your poetry. So thank you for sharing your art with us. Jay, another amazing, talented human. Jay, your closing remarks briefly.
So nice to hear your laughter too, Brother Simon. The first thing that came to mind as a closing remark is that you cannot be a leader without followers. You're just leading yourself. You have to have people that believe in you, that trust you, that have confidence in you. And the last thing that I wanted to say was that for those that believe in the Bible, believe in Scripture, even Jesus Christ in the Garden of Eden asked, he was going to go through fires that some of us could never fathom, asked, if it be your will, if it be your will, let this cup pass from me. But that was not his will. And he went ahead and picked up the cross and continued leading through the fire. This is Jay, and I finished speaking.
Thank you so much, Jay. This is Simon speaking. I'm grateful. Steve, let's hear your closing remarks, and then let's hear from Ivnia before we wrap up. Okay, Steve, there you go. Go ahead, please.
Okay. My closing remark is just to echo what I just said earlier. Uh, we cannot run away from fire if you want to lead. So, as long as we want to wear the boots and coat of leadership, we have to be ready to confront and face fire head on. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Ivnia.
Thank you again, Brother Simon, for allowing me to speak. So, when it comes to fear, all of us, everyone has fears, and that means every leader has fears. But not letting those fears get the best of you is an important part of successful leadership. We need to learn as leaders to manage our fears. When we manage our fears well, we are in a much better position to lead. We are in a better position to understand our goals, our objective, and how and where we want to take the people who follow us. This is my final interpretation, my final say about this proverb. And we should never take shortcuts in our leadership that can undermine our authorities and influence. Thank you. I yield the mic back to you, Brother Simon. Welcome again.
Thank you so much, my brother Ivnia. I'm grateful that you're here. Now let's just hear from Raphael in closing. Raphael, just wrap our conversation today, so that we see everybody tomorrow morning. And if you want to join me on TikTok, in about 5 minutes I'll be live there for maybe 10 to 15 minutes to recap today's session. Raphael, the mic is yours. Take us away.
Hey, thank you, my brother Simon. Our sister Joanna was making me laugh. So, yes. First of all, shout out to your brother Steven. I'm like, are you sure Steven is not the creative one? You know, I'm getting a different vibe. Yeah, Steven just seems to drop the gems and just disappear. I'm like, I think we should have a special session with Steven. We need to know more about Steven now. I'm very curious. But back on today's topic. So, fire is a tool. Not all of it is a necessity, and that is all I would say about fire. And we've touched on fire before, and we'll always touch on fire again. Fire is something that will always come around. And make of that what you will. I believe we are smart enough to know what I'm saying there. And something our brother Geronimo, yes, I hope I didn't butcher your name, said was always walk on. And I just took that phrase out of what he was saying, always walk on, because it ties into my final statement, which is leadership is a work in progress. And the difference between a good leader and a bad leader is only one leader tends to improve. So you need to know what type of leader you are. You know, if you see the need to improve, then you know what type of leader you are going to be, or what type of leader your aim is, you're aiming to be. But if you feel I've achieved it, I'm done, you know, then you know where you're headed. It's not my place to tell you where you're going, what boat you should be on, or where you're sailing towards. But we've seen enough in the world to know the types of leaders that exist, and we know who we are attracted to. And at this point of where I am in life, I don't even believe that I should be, as a leader, I am working for my followers. I don't. I am working for myself, because we say community, 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 but we all individuals. We do so much individualistic stuff, and it attracts people who, you know, we send out an energy. We send out, I'm vaccinated, so I do the 5G joke. Yes, I'm on the 5G network. So you send out your signal, and there are people who receive it and they start following you and they mess with you. And if they say, oh, I like what is coming out from your mouth, then they're going to come. If they don't like it, then they will withdraw from you. But you know who you go towards. You know what makes you go towards certain people. And that is what speaks from that person. And you are also emanating a similar signal to others. And that's how you define yourself as a leader. So your fire that comes your way, not all the fires are a necessity. And that's how I handle criticism. I'm a content creator. People can criticize the work that I do, which is acceptable. But not everybody is criticizing you for the sake of positively helping you to grow. It's like if I come to Brother Simon and I say, "Oh, don't make this, don't allow everybody speak, don't allow everybody do this, don't." It gets to a point, Brother Simon is going to start noticing that I'm just hitting him for the wrong. I'm not bringing anything valuable. It's just, he has to start fine tuning me out. I do the same on my platform. That's why if you listen to my podcast, I say, if you have anything negative to say, you don't have to go post it publicly. Send it to me. If it's useful, I will apply it. If it's not useful, yeah, I'll toss it out, but I don't need it. I don't have that time. I don't have that energy. So it's a fire. That's a fire they're sending towards me too. And I don't need all of it. I trade away. I can put it out. That's where I am down in life. So I do the same for yourself. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's where we are as human beings. So thank you, Brother Simon, for creating this platform as always. I hope everyone comes back tomorrow and yeah, bring more awesome stuff and more juice. And we'll need to see Steven. I'm starting a new campaign. Everybody join me. Let's start the petition. Steven needs to come on the platform, have his own interview. Join me, everybody. Sign it. Sign the petition now.
Well, I love that. I love that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful, my brother Raphael. I'm grateful to everybody that joined us today. Raphael, thank you so much. We didn't plan for this live session with you, and you're able to respond so that we can just chat after not being able to see each other in a long time.
Yeah.
So
I'll
if
jump
you,
back to washing dishes again. So.
where are you, by the way, at the moment?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back in Brooklyn. I was
Okay.
in Germany for a little bit.
Okay.
I'm back. It's cold now, so I'm getting cough. But yeah, I'm not recording this. I will record on the weekend, so hopefully I recover by then.
Nice, nice. Well, thanks again for making the time. Thank you, everyone in the room, for joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, I want you to know that today's session is already available on YouTube. You can check it out on YouTube. You can share it with other people who are not able to be here with us today. And also, in the next hour or so, it will be available on all podcasting platforms. So just let everyone know that's one of the changes I'm making, so that you don't have to wait to enjoy the replay of today's conversation and to be able to share it elsewhere. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.